What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Your man of fire himself, Halfpint, once again. Today we have more updates for Subverse. It's been quite some time. We have two brand new Kickstarter updates to go through to see what Subverse is currently doing right now and how much progress we have. The latest update is actually a pretty chunky one. It comes from the founder of Studio Foe themselves, so it's got some straight up information. He is quick, straight to the point, and that's exactly how we want to hear it when it comes to the news. Speaking straight to the point, if you want more news just like that, hit the subscribe button down below for more content just like this. Without further ado, let's get straight into these updates. First thing to note is that if you did a £20 donation, or I think it's worth like $26 or so, when it came to the Kickstarter, you will now be able to change your backer name. If you go inside the Discord server, there's a new bot by the name of Terran. If you go ahead and DM the bot, follow the instructions on screen, you guys will be able to change your name in the credits, just in case you wanted to do so. Warning, you do only get one name change, so be sure to know exactly what you want to change it to. Don't do anything too vulgar or copyrighted, because they won't be able to specifically do that, and then you'll be wasting your one and only time to change your name. So be sure you know what you're doing. If you want to change your name, go for it. If you don't, you're good to go. Just leave it as it is, leave it where it lies. Christoph later in the update goes on to say, customization is an important part of the waifu game, so we're currently working on some skin concepts for the characters that will give them a variety of unique looks for everyone to enjoy. Take a look at the awesome preview concept below, courtesy of our art director, to see what we have in mind when we talk about skins. There will be more information about the skins closer to the launch date. So it's cool to see there's going to be some variety and customization when it comes to the game, not just with the skill trees, but you can also change the look of the waifu. So I mean, if you're not just wanting to going at them, I mean, you also have the option to change what they look like, just because who doesn't want customization of cosmetics inside of games? And knowing Studio Foe, they're not going to be disappointing. I would go as far to say is that they're not going to be microtransaction based. Knowing Studio Foe, it's very likely they're not going to have microtransactions in the game. However, in the future, after the game has been out for quite some time, if they want to add more skins in the future, if they ever decide to do DLC to add additional groups of cosmetics, maybe they want to do that in the future, if they want to continue working on the game so they can fund the developers. It's just me spitballing ideas. It's good to hear that we will be getting some cosmetics in the game, though. He goes on to talk about the grid combat. Christoph goes on to say, recently one of the biggest tasks have been compiling all the best feedback provided by everyone during the recent Subverse grid combat beta launch. We're happy that once again, outside of a few very clear items that we knew going in would need improvement, the overall reception was, again, quite positive. You guys provide so many helpful suggestions, and we've noted every single one. The programmers have been working to implement many significant changes to the game, like installing an upgraded UI to provide range and damage type indicators. We're also experimenting with how reinforcements work and a few other balance changes that we think will be really helpful to give grid combat that extra shine it deserves. I'm glad to see that he's talking about how much the grid combat matters. Christoph, buddy, dude, I'm telling you right now, grid combat is where it's at. I understand you guys don't want to make grid combat super complicated. That's fine. That's understandable. Just go as in-depth as possible with the grid combat as you want to. We all love grid combat. I am a sucker for it. It doesn't have to be incredibly hard, but the more you add to it, the better. I love me some grid combat, especially with the humor, the sense of humor that we're getting with Subverse. Dude, this is a prime place to be doing more for grid combat. I am down for it. I want more of it. I'm going to love it. Just give us more. He's also talking about how we're going to have some new UI changes to provide range and damage type indicators. It's been a hot minute since I've played the grid combat. I need to go back and see. Playing the beta was a very clean experience, very polished for the most part. There wasn't very many hiccups when it came to the bug department, and it looked like they had a very clear vision what they were going for. They even had like a little ranking system when it comes to finishing your little combat systems. He was talking about here about the reinforcements, because the way they have it before, the reinforcements always spawn in the same area. When the reinforcements come in, it's always, they go regardless of whoever you had last played. So if you did your last move with your last character to kill somebody, all the reinforcements spawned in, and it was their turn to go. So you could entirely lose all of your troops after killing the last guy on the board, and you had to kind of play around that. So I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to be going about with the reinforcement changes. If they're going to be going for a more unique prospect of how they want to do the reinforcements. Will they be spawning a different area each time, randomly generated based off where your units are at? Or Are they just going to simply change it so that the enemy doesn't go first when they spawn in? Or maybe just the assassins will go first, since the assassins were always the fastest moving targets when it came to the game. They always went to the front of the line when it came to them moving. We'll have to see and wait what kind of changes they want to make when it comes to the reinforcements. But that was definitely one of the biggest talks about the problem when it came to the grid combat. As for the other balance changes, I would say the most annoying feature was the fact that a lot of the enemies would survive to like 1 HP, and that was a hell of a nuisance, so we'll have to see what happens there. But then again, there's many other changes coming to the game, such as different buffs, debuffs, different characters that do amount of damage. It's possible characters just get stronger over time, so it's like we could have been stuck in like this little instance during the game where they happen to have not done enough damage to wipe out a target, whereas in the future your minions do a lot more damage because they just get upgraded in general. We'll have to see specifically what sort of stuff is coming. It'd be nice to get more information, kind of what they're going for. I'm telling you, information is key. Give us as much information as you can. I understand you guys are working by the hour, you know, what you want to change, so it's like they're not a big group to be talking about a lot of this sort of stuff, but hey, we love hearing information from you guys, so don't be afraid to tell us as much as you want. We want to hear it all. Christoph then goes on to talk about the shoot 'em up sections again. Quote, I'm also happy to announce that we will be reintegrating the shoot 'em up section into the closed beta soon. Every faction will be available to fight, and we've made significant changes to the pirates. They were the first enemies we ever worked on. We've gotten much better at implementing AI, particle effects, and designing attacks since the start of production. I can definitely vouch for this. They have definitely gotten better with the AI significantly. I'm very impressed with how they make each AI for each faction super unique. And so I'm very much looking forward to how they're going to be reworking the pirates. You know I'm going to be all over that and covering that, and then hopefully making videos specifically on how the pirates will change. And I do want to go back and make some videos on each of the factions for the game. Maybe I'll give some lore, maybe I'll just talk about their gameplay. You guys let me know what you guys want to see. Christoph goes on to say, I can also confirm that our new and improved testing waves are all set. You are guaranteed to fight every ship in a faction by wave 10, and the first 10 are much easier. After those, things will start to get challenging. Also should also help our more casual players to get the full experience while still providing testing difficulty our veterans crave. On top of this, Christoph has been talking about this quite a bit inside the Discord server, so we got some early information of what they were wanting to go for when it came to specifically adding all the enemies before wave 10, but rebalancing them on making them a little bit harder by the time we get to wave 10 as well. So it's not going to be a bit of a slog trying to get to all of the enemy types all the way out into wave 16. So very good positive change to hear. Very much look forward to it, and maybe it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to get to certain waves, or maybe they'll just entirely change how the enemies increase exponentially. Finally, we've also made updates have been made to the Tibbled boss fight after your feedback. We totally revamped the difficulty level as well as the third phase of the fight into something much more mortarific. As we all know, the Tibbled boss fight did ramp up in difficulty very quickly, so it's nice that they're adding also another mechanic of sorts, is what it sounds like, with the mortars, or they're just going more heavy with the... Maybe he always had mortars, I'm just not paying attention. But it seems as if they're going more towards that. Probably adding a new mechanic to the boss fight. Very cool. And it's nice that they had a boss fight to test out, so they realized that, hey, we did make our boss fight get pretty difficult later on. Because Tibbled, I think, was the first boss fight in the game that you come across. So this is exactly what these betas are here for. That is the first update, and we now have a brand new update coming directly from DC that released August 14th, so this one's more recent. The thing I like about this particular update is DC is stripped to the point. This is exactly what we want to hear. So it starts off by going, hey everyone, this is DC. I'm the founder of the studio and the creative director on Subverse. This week I'll walk you through some of the challenges we've been faced and the thought process that went into developing solutions to overcome them. A staggering amount of work has already been gone into Subverse, and we're doing our best to be as agile as possible. So our tiny team is approaching things in unorthodox fashion. For example, one of our animators is also doing UI design. One of our software leads is also helping out with audio mixing. Our technical artist has also become a sexbot animator during the day. And our community manager is learning scene building inside Unreal 4. So they're a small team, but they're also prioritizing making everyone do different parts of the workload to ensure that they get this product out. This is another reason why we don't have specifically a release date out for the game yet. Although we would like a release date, these guys do need to take their time. They also talk more information about this that we will approach with shortly. They go on to say, as we all know, the waifus are the heart and soul of the game, so the more scene time they have, the better. I'm trying to be mindful of giving you guys as many opportunities as possible to interact with them. With that in mind, the waifus can be interacted with in a number of ways. First off, recruitment missions. There are many mandatory missions woven into the main storyline. You meet them for the first time, they rope you into some shenanigans, and they become your party members at the end. A typical recruitment mission is fairly long and heavily scripted. So again, very much like Mass Effect. You find them out in the wild, you follow their story-based recruitment mission, which is more lengthy than most missions, and then by the end of it, you end up recruiting them. Very much like Mass Effect. Now, whether that's going to be grid combat, ship combat, a mix of both, I would assume it's going to be a mix of them, you know, laying on the planet, a little bit of ship combat, and then you get some cutscenes followed by some grid combat to save them. A lot of dialogue, like Mass Effect, maybe with some decisions, because they've been showing quite a bit of dialogue and what it would look like. So very exciting seeing the premise of what's going to be coming with the game in the future. Continuing with the waifus, on board the Mary Celeste. Once they've joined your party, they take up residence in one of the rooms on your ship. For example, Lily hangs out in the lab while Taryn skulks about in engineering. You can approach the girls and talk to them, and we've added in several contextual conversations across the game. This basically means they have to react to the key story events now, and you can get their thoughts on what just transpired. Combat felt a little bare bones audio-wise, so we've pulled a Jay Wilson and doubled the amount of lines and injections the waifus have to say during combat. You should hear more encouraging cries of joy, some more shit-talking, and various other little cute things, depending on context. Again, only good things to hear. Very excited about that. He then goes on about the progression of the game by stating, as your waifus start to trust you, they'll open up to you more and reveal their backstories through a series of longer conversations. These are for the true waifu files, and add a bit more romance into the mix. Originally, I was not too keen on the idea of a fully fledged romances, but they make thematic sense and the actresses did a great job, so overall it was definitely a step in the right direction. Devotion Quest. Once you max out a waifu, she will give you a special and optional quest called a Devotion Quest. Think of these as an elite quest that takes you on a journey of sorts to help resolve your love interest story arc. They contain some of the best acting and epic moments in the entire game, so I highly recommend them even if you're not interested in the romance. Devotion Quest will not be in the game at launch, but will be added post-launch once they receive the appropriate levels of polish due to the cinematic nature. Interesting, so from this line, it seems as if that Studio Fo was trying to work towards, although they're not doing the chapter-based release that they were doing back in the day, they are still releasing content after the game has come out, which, if it helps the workload for a tinier team, because we know they're not doing this as games as service sort of game, so we don't have to really worry about that. But if they do have to ease up the workload by taking some of the in-game content and releasing it with like post patches, I can definitely understand that. It seems as if they're trying to release the game in one whole contained package, but some of the content, maybe as, you know, not directly DLC, but they'll release them as big updates to continue the game. I mean, a lot of people are looking forward to getting this game as soon as possible, so that is cool, but we'll have to see exactly how they're going to do this. Let me know what your guys' opinions and thoughts are down below with this theme of structure. It seems like it's a story arc, as they said. You know, it seems to be like the climax when it comes to the romance, so it seems like it's one of the more in-game sort of stuff, and that's why this mission is coming in later on. But again, it does say that it is a post-launch sort of thing, so I mean, possibly an update. Gifts, work in progress. There's a gifting system in the works, and it's just a silly little mini-game, but I couldn't resist not parodying dating simulators. Each waifu has a like/dislike chart, and you can get more points for giving them stuff they like. Here's a pro tip from the Director Sama himself. Bo-chan's favorite gift is an item titled Konoichi 1 DVD. God, I butcher so many of these words for this game. I'm gonna completely butcher this, but Konoichi 1 DVD. And her least favorite gift is a cease and desist letter. Oh, Jesus Christ. And here you can see a picture of, yeah. So who knows what the gifts do? Maybe it increases the romance, maybe it also enhances how they work in combat. Banter, another work in progress item. We're looking into areas where two waifus can banter with each other. This is tricky though, since there's not a lot of in-game opportunities to do this, but I feel it's worth attempting, as banters, like in Dragon Age Origins, adds a lot to the camaraderies. I don't know, I had a hard time saying that word. Camaraderies between the party members. Camaraderie. Camaraderie between the party members. I give it a 50-50 chance of making the game. At this point in time, they don't know exactly how that's going to make it. Again, they're a smaller team. They're only working with what they know. But it is cool to hear that they are working towards different ideas, and they are translating this sort of information to us. So it's very exciting to hear that we're still hearing work in progress sort of stuff of if it's going to make it into the game or not. Hence why GIFs and Banter are both things that say work in progress. So we'll have to see if these do make it to the game. Studio team covers 8 time zones, so it's been a bit of a challenge to get everything synced up and running smoothly, to say the least. We've used working remotely, but never on something of this scale. A regular day involves waking up, checking my work DMs and emails from the night, then interfacing with the artists on the Asian side of the globe before they log off for the day. Then I move on to the European team, who are usually animating by that point. And then I check in with the East Coast team members, starting as they wake up, and make my way across the time zones until I end my day by catching up with the West Coast modeling team located across the North and South America. Naturally, this means a lot of management work than I'm used to. I prefer the creative side, but can't afford a bunch of AAA managers on our tiny budget. We're basically making a $15 million game with a $1.5 million budget. So I kind of have to bite the bullet on this one. Hey, editing Taylor from the future real quick. Just wanted to make a quick little nitpick, make sure we get details nice and clean on this. When they say that they're working on a small or a tiny $1.5 million budget, that's not them complaining, saying we need more money. At the end of the day, game development is an expensive process, and on top of that, when they're raising funds, when they hit $1.5 million, that's when they found out this is the standard we're working on. They already know what they're working with. They're just trying to tell backers about as much information as possible. Hey guys, we're aware this is what we're working with, this is what's going on. This is not them complaining about not enough money, because I know some people are going to jump to this conclusion, so I just want to make this crystal clear. This is not a complaint saying they don't have enough money, but compared to other bigger AAA companies that do have about $15 million, they're in the process of making a $15 million game with $1.5 million. There's some quick clarification for you guys. Finishing the rest of the paragraph, DC goes on to say, the good news is things are progressing well even though remote work has its inefficiencies. I honestly don't think we would be more than 10 to 15% faster if we weren't remote working, which gives you an idea of just how our remote pipeline is. End quote. This is very exciting to hear, and I feel like in the future I should make a video talking about specifically their workload and how they're making it, well, work all in all when it comes to even their time zones and not being next to each other. So it's almost as if the pandemic hasn't really affected them at all, which is very positive to hear because they're already working from different time zones in the first place. But once again, the biggest thing I like about Studio and why I continue to cover them is the fact that they are a game company that shows they know what they're going for. Whether or not it's going to be this huge game, it just goes to show that they're sticking with the vision and that's what they're going for. They're not altering their vision. They said, hey, here's what's definitive. Here's some cool ideas that might make into the game. We're play testing them, but we already know the definitive stuff is getting into the game and we're sticking with this. And once again, in the future of the post, he talks about that even more so. Up next is sound engineering. The main downside of remote work is the difficulty of getting audio into the game since the actors all have to record from home. While we're used to this, it does slow down the process, which is why we started it much easier than we normally would. Direction is difficult, especially with motion capture, but the inconsistency in recording environments means that we have to pay special attention to the mastering pass. I can vouch for this sort of stuff. It is very difficult working with different environments and trying to do audio tweaks. Like, if you guys have heard Hunt the Freeman, you know, so you guys have probably seen their Twitters when they go to the waifus and they're voice acting. You know, they're literally hiring people to record straight from their homes and straight from their closets. While AAA companies doing this for the first time, Studio when it came to their films, we're already used to this process. But since a game is on such a bigger scale, it is more difficult for them to be doing this with so many more people. So it's good to hear that although they are fully aware, and it's difficult, they are fully aware of the difficulties about it, and they're doubling down to make sure in the mastering of the audio that they're trying to make sure that everything is consistently working together. This was something that I did point out in the beta when it came to a lot of the units, and I'm glad that DC came outright talking about this. This is exactly what we wanted to hear. DC went on to say, luckily we're working with a studio in South Korea to help us with the mastering, and we've had enough audio experience on the team from the movies to be able to execute everything required. It's very, very difficult. End quote. I had no idea they had an external source working and making sure that they had the audio just right. That is very, very cool to hear. And I'm looking forward to hearing the mastering work when it comes to the rest of their stuff. That's probably why you guys saw work in progress when it came to some of the lines inside the beta. That now makes a lot more sense. They are working with some other professionals to make sure they get it done. Localization. For everyone asking about localization, we've written about 220,000 words across the onboard, story, devotion, codex, and combat modules. Codex voice acted, confirmed. So at the moment, the absolute last thing we're interested in is spending a year localizing Phil Fish jokes into Mandarin. Good luck with that, by the way. The game will release in English with English audio. Once we've completed the game and received additional funding, we can sit down and maybe talk about localization, but not at the moment. So confirm, game is only in English. It's the best they can do. What to look forward to? I think for you guys, the next exciting milestone will be the art book, which is actually more like a companion guide to the game. It's going to give you an idea of just how well everything's coming together, and I can't wait for you to see it. The digital version will be released on October 14th, 2021. To all eligible backers, after that, the hype train should start leaving the station as we ramp up the content reveals. Remember, we are allocating nothing on our marketing budget in order to focus on making the best possible game. So we're relying on you guys to spread the word about Subverse. Sincerely, DC. Trust me, DC. We got the marketing covered. And I will happily help them with the marketing as much as possible by talking more about the game. But, hit your boy up with the extra content, alright? What scares me is they said the next exciting milestone will come October 14th of 2021. I don't know if that's a typo, or if we're waiting until October of next year for the next biggest milestone. And if that's the next exciting thing, when's the release date for the game? Sorry guys, gotta break the flow once again, another edit from the future, but I keep finding this stuff as I'm in the middle of editing this video. I went back browsing through the Discord server to make sure all this information was right about 2021, and I came across this from Mr. Christoph himself saying, that's correct, 2021 release. No date provided yet, update release info will be provided as soon as we're confident we can do so. So it seems as if they are aiming for a 2021 release. I would almost say confirmed, but I mean, you know, insert clickbaity news channel video thumbnail here saying that, oh my god, absolutely confirmed, blah, 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 blah. I mean, we can only take their information with a grain of salt at the moment because, you know, there could be some precautions that come in the future, but they're definitely aiming for a 2021 release. That's a weird number to say. We'll have to see when they plan to release the next game or what other roadmaps they provide for us coming in the future. This all sparked from a conversation within a Discord server with a couple of people talking and wondering what was going on with the release date, and then Christoph came in and provided this information about the release date. I don't know if this was specified anywhere else that I just completely missed, but this is the first time I'm seeing this personally, so I kind of want to relay this information to you guys. But also, just goes to show, if you guys aren't inside of the Discord server for Studio Foe, go in there, you'll get even more information, maybe talk up with some of the dudes. How to recommend it, linked down below once again. Back to the video again. But on top of that, it is good to hear that the pandemic honestly did not stop them when it came to working on the game, because they already worked from their homes in the first place. But it does go to show how small of a team that they are, so we do need to keep that in mind, and they're doing their best. Again, probably why they haven't talked about a release date. But for the least, we can see the good work they're doing. They're talking about it, and I was glad that DC came out and dropped this motherload of a news update to talk about specifically what's going on inside the game. Again, this was kind of a big update, so sorry about the length of this video. If you guys like these videos where I basically sit down and read the entire news post out, or if you guys want summarized instead, like I used to do, be sure to let me know down below, and I'll try to work with you guys. But essentially, there was a huge mother load here, and I did have to go through this mother load piece by piece because there was a lot to dissect in this particular news post. So for the time being, we don't currently have an estimation when it comes to the release date. There could have been a typo here. If the most exciting thing to look forward to is the art book fall of next year, that's kind of scary for the release date, because they're not doing chapters anymore, so we'll have to see whenever those come out. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be getting new betas in the future, so I mean, it's not like we're going to be completely dry on content, so there's very much to look forward to when it comes to Subverse, regardless if it comes out later next year, or if we read this wrong in some sort of manner and actually comes out like summer of next year. I'll keep you guys posted on the release date of the game next year either way. With that being said, it is good to hear that they are allocating their resources appropriately and they're spending all their money and funds specifically on the game. They're designing it like a $15 million game with a $1.5 million budget. So they're not going to be spending any money on marketing, so I'm going to have to do my damnedest to make sure I get it out for them as best as possible. I'll make some goddamn trailers for them if they ask for it. I got these dudes covered. I'll do it free of charge. So if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I appreciate you very much. Be sure to hit the like button as it goes along with the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you really did enjoy the video, share it with a friend. Leave a hashtag finish if you made it to the end of the video. Thank you all for watching a long time and a hard time. And I'll see you guys next time.